Uh, Hi. Ngiyathemba niyaphila right, you are all well. Yeah, since I promised the last week that I will be starting with trigonometry this week, right? So what you need to know in grade 11. In grade 11, the trigonometry portion, they've just added co-ratio, reduction, and identities. These three, they are the only things which are added in trigonometry chapter of grade 11. So since you can see, I've already drawn a Cartesian plane. I think you all know what a Cartesian plane is, what a Cartesian plane deals with, right? So since you see this Cartesian plane here, you should keep in mind that these numbers from 180 taking 0 taking 360, these ones, they are all reductions. King reduction formula. You remember that thing? There is something like this. Let me give you an example. They will be giving you sine 180 plus or minus theta. This theta is your reference angle, right? What's happening here? It's that reductions formula, meaning the ratio will still be the same in the answer. How? You still have sine, but you need to check. 180 plus, it takes you in which quadrant? 180 plus, I'm coming to this quadrant. Remember, this is a first quadrant, this is a second quadrant, and this is a third quadrant, and this is a fourth quadrant, right? So since ever I have sine 180 plus theta, which means I'm going this direction. When you add, you go anti-clockwise, meaning adding is anti-clockwise. So every time when I add 90 plus theta, it goes this side. 180 plus theta, it goes this side. 270 plus theta, it goes that side, you see? So now I'm subtracting. When I come down here and say sine 180 minus theta, which means I'm going the opposite direction. 180 minus theta, it should be somewhere here, which means I'm going back. Therefore, for negativity, we're going clockwise. You can see, right? So here I will just say negative, it's what? It's clockwise. So since you can see here in this Cartesian plane, here you know that all trig ratios are positive. Trig ratios are which ones? We have three trig ratios, and those trig ratios, they produce reciprocals. Trig ratios are cos, sine, and tan. Their reciprocals is cosec, sec, and cot. I'll remind you of that, don't worry. So since you see a Cartesian plane, first quadrant, they are all positive. Second quadrant, only sine is positive. You remember that thing, it says all students takes coffee. Aye. Now when I was still schooling, honestly speaking, I used to be a little bit corrupt. I used to say all student takes condom. You see? So that was the easiest way for me to understand everything. So yeah, I could say all student takes coffee. You see? So all trig ratios are positive in first quadrant. Only sine is positive in a second quadrant. Only tan is positive in a third quadrant. Only cos is positive in a fourth quadrant. So let's go back to this question. Sine 180 plus theta. Sine 180 plus theta. It takes us to where? To third quadrant. Remember, theta is just a special angle, and a special angle cannot be above 90 degrees. So for you to know where 180 plus theta goes in which quadrant, it's simple. You can say 180 plus 1 181, it's somewhere here, not this side. So here only tan it's positive. What about sine? I already know my sine, it's negative. Since it's 180 here and 180 deals with what? Reductions. What did I say? I said 180, 0 degrees and 360 are what? Reductions. And 90, 270 are co-ratios. Co-ratios. As you can see here, 180 plus theta, it takes us to that quadrant, meaning sine will be negative. It will be negative, and then we take our reference angle or the angle they gave us, which is a special angle, so it will be negative sine theta. So this side, it says what? Sine 180 minus theta. What did I say about minus? You go in clockwise direction. 180 minus 10, 180 minus 80, it comes this side. 180 minus any number less than 90, it takes us in which quadrant? Second quadrant. Only sine is positive in a second quadrant. So we will have what? Positive sine. Then we take a what? Our theta. Simple, right? This one, it was for what? Reductions. You see? So now we are going to do what we call co-ratios. What are co-ratios? Co-ratios meaning a ratio will change, and it cannot be a co-ratio of tan, okay? Co-ratios only deal with sine and cos. So let's say now I have sine 90 degrees plus theta, and here I have cos 90 degrees minus theta. Here I have sine theta plus 90. Here I have cos. Here I have cos or any number, negative theta plus 90. Here I have cos negative theta minus 90. You see? So let's deal with the first one first. It says 90 plus theta. What is theta? 90 plus any number less than 90. When you add it to 90, it will take us to which quadrant? Second quadrant. Which ratio is positive in a second quadrant? Only sine. So if ever only sine is positive in a second quadrant and our given ratio is sine, then we say we take positive. Because of this 90, it tells us that this whole thing, it's a co-ratio now, which means this 90 will affect this sine to be what? Cos. Then we take our theta. This is your final answer. We go to cos 90 minus theta. Cos 90 minus theta. What did I say about minus? Let's go back to 90. Minus, you are reducing the number. You are reducing this number, which means 90 minus any number less than 90. What will you get? You will get a number which is in between 0 to 90 degrees, meaning it's what? First quadrant. First quadrant, they are all what? All positive, which means I will take my positive. So if I take my positive, since this cos is positive in first quadrant, what about the 90? 90 will affect cos. Therefore, I will have what? 90 will affect cos. 90 will make cos to be sine theta. Then now, this is your final answer. You go to another question. This question, they constructed it vice versa compared to these two questions, compared to these two previous questions. So how can we manipulate it further? We can rearrange it, or we can solve it as the way it is. 90 is positive, theta is positive. This thing is the same as this one. 90 is positive, theta is positive, and still a sine. You see? So when you add any number less than 90, or in 90 here, You add any number less than 90 in here, it takes us where? It will take us to second quadrant, you see. And when it takes us to second quadrant, only sign is positive in a second quadrant. You go back there, you have sign, you insert plus, then because of this 90, this sign will change. It will become what? Cos. Take an theta, you put it here. What did I say? I said these two are the same. What was the difference? The difference was the construction of the question. Then we go to cos negative theta plus 90. If you could check very well, negative theta, here is it. Positive 90, here is it. Which means this thing cos minus theta plus 90 is the same as cos 90 minus theta. If you want to rearrange it to the manner that you know it, you can take it to this procedure. So what can we do now? You are going to say 90. When you minus any number from 90, it takes you back to where? It takes you back to first quadrant. You are minusing a number, any number from 90, which means it will take you toward first quadrant. And all trig ratios are positive in what? First quadrant, which means here we'll have plus since it's cos, but because of this 90 will affect cos to be what? Sine. Sine what? Theta. Simple, right? What did I say? I said this one is the same as this one. You see? Oh, here is a challenging part now. Now we have negative theta minus 90. For me, I could take out a common factor, which is what? Negative. For somebody else, he or she will go straight to an answer. Let me do